Okay, Sistas fans, season 8, episode 10, Forget Me Not. Now, up front, I think that episodes 10 and 11, okay, to be fair, the bar from the previous 9 episodes was set extremely low. But I guess as companion pieces, or maybe because we got these episodes back to back, I think these were the best of the season so far. You know, they both had issues, in my opinion, but they were all right. You know, they were serviceable, which is kind of sad. I mean, when this comes to the mid-season or season finale, you want them to be bangers, but I guess, you know, it's like somebody put a little bit of seasoning in these episodes, but these they still tasted a bit off. So, I'm giving this episode a 7 out of 10, one of the higher scores of the season. Again, that's really sad when you think about it. So, before going into Forget Me Not, make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe, hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. And with that being said, let's dive in. So, we start off with finding out how Gary got out of the hospital. So, it turns out he just didn't want to be there anymore. He was tired of all the testing and being stuck in bed. He just got up and left. Okay. And apparently, rather than like taking the bus or an Uber, because I asked the question, like, the man has no wallet or anything on him. He took one of the motorbikes at the hospital, and somehow, in spite of not remembering anyone or anything else, he remembered Andy because you're the only person I can trust. And he managed to find the pen. I don't know. I'm just chalk it up to the plot. Chalk it up to the freaking plot. Now, from there, it turns out he got to the apartment complex, and Justin, the doorman, he calls Andy because he wants to know if the cops need to be, called up. And no, apparently Gary was very hostile with Justin, and he somehow still managed to get on the elevator and go. Okay. So, the bellman who's supposed to take charge of who goes up and down the elevator to the penthouse got into it with Gary. He was going to call 911, and Gary forcibly made his way on the elevator up to the penthouse. I mean, how? Even if Justin does remember Gary as like, hey, you're the one that bought the penthouse for Andy, and usually, canonically, Gary is buzzed up, but then again, at the baby shower, he wasn't. I have no idea. And I'm not going to sit here talking for like 10 minutes trying to figure it out. The damn story is off. But either way, he's there. He's there. And he wants Andy's help. You're the only one I can trust. And Andy's like, hey, go into the other room. There's some clothes from a friend that you can put on. He goes back to put on the clothing. And when he comes out, he states that whoever your friend is smaller than me, in reference to the crotch area. So she calls Hudson, who doesn't want to hear anything from her, but, hey, Gary's here. You did this, didn't you, Andy? No, stupid. She called you to let him know he's there. Come get him. So Gary is eating Andy's leftover lunch, and it's the same stuff that, that's his favorite. And you could just tell by the way Andy's acting, she still feels some kind of way for Gary. So she gets a call from Robin, who is downstairs. And Robin is there to say, look, it doesn't look good for you to be, having company over. What's going on? She doesn't want to say who. She says it's Gary, and then he's coming up. So Robin actually goes up to the penthouse. And Gary can't remember who Robin is. And Robin sounds like a lot of the audience saying like, Andy, are you really buying this? Gary is full of BS. He does not have amnesia. But the thing is, it's hard to tell if Robin is really saying this from a place of, Andy, get your head out of the clouds. This dude is playing you. Or it's coming from a, a place of jealousy. Like, he doesn't like the fact that Andy is getting so cozy with Gary all of a sudden. It just doesn't look good. So from there, Justin calls saying that Hudson's downstairs. Hudson comes up. Well, looks like I just got caught in the middle of a, late night soap opera. all Andy Barnes' men, that all the Queen's men reference was hilarious because this is sadly accurate. It truly is. You have her current fiance suffering from mild amnesia, allegedly, in the same room with one of Andy's supposed exes who Gary tried to get rid of from his own company, and now Hudson's in the middle of it. So Gary doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to go to the hospital at all. But, he's eventually convinced to go. And the thing that got me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because during the live stream, some people said that they did have this thing, and I disagree wholeheartedly with it, where Andy and Gary did this thing where it's like they locked pinkies, their fists were touching, and I think they kissed their thumbs. And it's like, you remember? And I'm like, I do not remember a single time Andy and Gary doing this at all. No, I do not remember. And the thing that made it worse is that it feels like, and this is just my opinion, Jordan was just a placeholder for Gary, which I've been ever since season 7, episode 1. I'm like, Andy still got a thing for Gary. Because if you go back to that episode when Gary's over at the penthouse with Penelope, it felt like Andy was just putting on a show for Gary. And, her and Jordan had that thing where it's like they kissed their finger and then their fingers would touch. Like, yeah, I promise you. And I think they had a pinky lock too. I can't remember. I just know they did that finger thing. And it almost feels like this was shoehorned in between Andy and Gary to show that Andy had this like dollar store version that she would do with Jordan. And to me, that just made it seem worse. Like, damn, Jordan, you really weren't nothing to Andy. That's all I'm saying. So then, he goes back to the hospital. And now Robin thinks that there's something going on between Andy and Gary. And Andy thinks it's a power grab in regards to, you just want to keep me locked away here. Yeah, I heard about what's been going on. Like, you give my caseload over to Hayden. And I don't really see how that's a power grab. Like, yeah, just because you're up for partner, Andy, doesn't mean that that's threatening to Robin's position of owner of the firm. So I really don't get what's going on here. So then she's saying that she's going to go back to work no matter what. And we all know that's a big mistake based off episode 11. So over at the airport, Danny and Tony are sexting, and Danny's like, he's breaking, and Leonard's just being a hater. So then from there, Danny calls Sabrina to calm her down before she does something, that's going to get her fired. Basically, it's like, hey, remember that girl Paige over at your job that's been giving you a hard time? I have one of those in my job. And from there, Tony comes out and he and Danny start flirting. And I'm just thinking, look, Leonard, you could call him a hater all you want to, but Tony, being the VP, should definitely know better. Just recently, you and Danny recognized, our PDA is going to be a bit too much. I'm like, if y'all want to do that freaky stuff, wait till you get to Tony's office and lock the door. You're doing it out in public. You got all these random customers coming in and out of the airport. You have your other coworkers right there. Why are you acting all bent out of shape when one of the coworkers is rightfully like, yeah, y'all doing too much? So they agree, to meet up later for dinner. And from there, let's see. Let me just check on something real quick. Oh, yeah. Rich comes over by the bank and talks with Sabrina, brings her a gift, which is a basketball, because in episode 9, while they were having a double date lunch with Grace and Maurice about, just getting to know each other more, Sabrina brought up that she used to play basketball back in the day. And it's funny because I think this was a cute scene. It really was, because we get to see Sabrina and Rich have some one-on-one time like this. And they wanted, well, actually, I think it was Rich who said invite Maurice and Grayson just to get to know him better, which I think is pretty cool in that, we see Rich taking an interest in Sabrina's life. Like, hey, okay, let me get to know your friends more. Because when you really think about it, Rich really only hangs out with, let's say, Danny and Tony when they double date, and that's it. But it's like, okay, Sabrina, let me get to know some of your other friends. Definitely not Andy. But yeah, there we go, Maurice and Grayson. And no word from the lab yet. No word from the lab on a Rich's sample just yet. Maybe in the next episode. Wink, wink. Now, when it comes to the Salon, and I did videos on this already, but basically, Aaron is feeling the baby kicking. Zach wants to feel the kicks. Unfortunately, he's unable to feel anything, which fans are speculating could be a sign that maybe there is a stillborn in there. We just don't know it just yet. Or it could just be that at the moment, the baby wasn't kicking. Enough said. Or babies. Now, Aaron, all of a sudden, I don't know why the writers are making him into a smartass again. It just seems completely out of nowhere. I mean, has he made slick comments before? Yeah, but it just feels weird that yet again, we're forcing in this drama where, I don't know. It's almost like they're ruining Zach and Aaron's truce. It's like, okay, we cannot have Zach, Aaron, Karen, and Fatima not have drama between them. So instead of Karen and Fatima having drama, they're going to get along, and we're going to make Zach and Aaron start going at it again. Why can't there be peace? I think with her being pregnant with twins by two different people, and everything going on with Zach and Michael and Fatima at the job, why does there need to be additional drama between this square of characters? We do not need it. So they start going back and forth. The argument about soccer versus football. And I'm like, so are these not girls in there? Or are they boys? I don't know. And then Aaron ends up leaving. Seriously, Zach, does it matter if you hit it first? It really doesn't matter. So Aaron leaves. Zach tells Karen everything's okay. It's just that he's feeling some kind of way because of what he missed out on with Michael. And you could just tell by that look on Karen's face that she didn't want to hear anything about that. So Karen just reassures him that, look, I'll make sure you'll be there for as every possible milestone you can for both the twins. I'm thinking, no, he just needs to be there for his. And then he tries to hug her and everything. And then she's like, no, we're not doing all that. And then Fatima calls in. And then, of course, it's actually in regards to the meeting about Roots to Riches over at the law firm. Pam is suspicious, but, she's reassured that it's about business, not about anything else. And then we get the Zach and Fatima clip that was released where Zach is thinking like, what, are y'all having a Shirley Brown talk, woman to woman? No, babe, it's about Roots to Riches. And then that's when Zach tells her about the Hayden stuff that he overheard while spying on him. And now they're like, we got to get this information, submit it to Watt. That way Hayden's suspect number one, and we're free and clear. Now, I guess the last thing to talk about is the three scenes involving Fatima, Pam, and Karen, Hayden coming in, Fatima taking Hayden outside, and then Fatima talking with Karen. So, to round it out, Fatima's just, doing the professional, I think she's doing a good job. Just professional sit down, explaining the situation. They're going over the contracts. Everything looks good. But then Hayden comes in and just reasserts power, which is kind of weird considering what Robin said last week. But, he's back on that BS, to be blunt. He shuts it down. I got to admit, for the asshole he is, there were some hilarious comebacks between him and Pam and Karen. But also, I can't forget when Zach called Pam Daffy Duck. And I mean, that was hilarious. So, he doesn't want to have anything to do. He thinks that, you know what? Marie's going to lose out money, get involved with you, ghetto hood rats. And then Fatima steps up and says, look, let's go outside. Basically gives the rundown on Marie in that she was just like Pam and Karen, quote unquote, ghetto hood rats in Chicago. Didn't you hear anything about her girl group? Any of their songs? Most of them had to do like, single mama drama, growing up poor, and she made the come up. She sees herself in these two. And then Hayden backs down and eventually says, you know what? You're on point for this case from now on. Roots to Riches is all you. You got this. And then Fatima goes in, gives the girls the good news, and everything's good. Pam invites her out for drinks, but she can't go. She has other meetings. And she says something slick like, yo, I bet you got a parole officer. Okay, bye. And I'm like, really, Pam? And then her and Karen, Karen thanks her. And then Fatima's like, hey, from now on, Hayden it's cool. Like, I'm the one who's doing the case, so that means we're going to be seeing a whole lot of each other now. So, are you okay with that? And he's like, I'm not just okay. I'm better than okay with it. And then, I'll pray for you because, you got to deal with that all the time. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, now you get a taste of what Fatima goes through at work. And in previous seasons, you would be adding to the drama whenever you would just come over to the house with that BS. So it was nice to see them acting cordial in this episode, but trust and believe it does not last long. So with that being said, that was episode 10. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.